And welcome back to the Murphy Table, everybody. It is December 27th of 2016 when I'm filming this, so right after Christmas, right before the new year. And I want to go ahead and start filming some 65 that we've got here. Pull this up real quick, just in case y'all forgot what I'm talking about. So this is 65 by Flying Pig Games. This is a card-driven Vietnam War game. Now, when is this coming? So just to go over a couple things. So we have the game on the boats from China right now. Now it takes about 30 to 37 days for them to arrive wherever it is they're going to get to where they ship off. So we're expecting middle of July, not July, sorry, that's more than 30 days. Middle of January, we should have them at the different shippers, and then of course there's customs and things like that. So probably late January to early February. It's hard to give a specific day because the games are still on the boats, and then when they arrive is when we can really start to figure out when you'll get them. So you can pre-order now, and then when they're here and we ship them out, you can get them. If you go to the Flying Pig Games website and go check out the news section, Mark has the more specifics in there about when they'll reach Europe and Asia and stuff like that. So still looking forward to January. Now another question that gets asked is what's the historical, like how historically based is this? What's the accuracy? And that's a good question. I get that sometimes, and I had to think, well, really that depends on what you're looking for when you ask, is this historically accurate? What does that mean? So there's a couple ways. Like, for one, this is historically accurate in the fact that there's no zombies, no Cthulhu, nothing weird or wonky like that. So your units are accurate. In the base game here, now this tray doesn't come with the game. This is a tray that I've added just to sort out my counters. So the base game's got American troops, probably like U.S. infantry. Now I say U.S. infantry simply because there's a separate Marines expansion coming out. So this could be, depending on how you follow in the year, this could be, Army infantry. These could still be Marines, but there is specifically Marines coming, and the Anzac. So you have like your Australian units and whatnot. So that's accurate. Then we have the Viet Cong over here, are the blue. And then you have your NVA. So again, as far as units, it's historically accurate. Okay, so no supernatural stuff. The back of me says maybe. Mark is really good with like military horror. So part of me says maybe down the road, years from now, it might be fun to see some kind of zombie Cthulhu expansion for Vietnam. But the current game that we're talking about, though, historically accurate units. So you got infantry, some of the equipment. Also, just because they're easy to leave in the sprue, again, units, helicopters. You've got transport helicopters. Then they had some gunship helicopters. Actually, quite a few helicopters because Vietnam's known as like a helicopter war. And then it's got some tanks. So again, nothing supernatural, sci-fi, or anything like that. So unit-wise, I'd say historically accurate. Then, this was an interesting question because some people ask, what about the scenarios? Well, again, because this is all kind of fact-based, no science fiction, stuff like that, I could say that the scenarios are also historically accurate. Now, when you get through the book, I'm not going to show you, everything, leave some surprises, but scenario 1, for example, village assault. This, you can say is historically accurate because oftentimes, as it says in the description, the only way to save a village from the Viet Cong was to go in and destroy the Viet Cong or drive them out. So this is the type of thing that happened often in the Vietnam War. And so there's no specific date or timeline. So you can play this mission over and over and over again, but it's still historically accurate. As we move along, then we do have some that are based on specific dates. So scenario 3 is November 4th, 1965. So it's got elements of the 1st Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division, Battle of the NVA, 66th Regiment, northwest of Pai Mei. Now, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce Vietnamese locations, so if I've got these wrong, I apologize. So anyway, there's an actual battle that took place. And then further along here is Tanks in the Wire, the Battle of Long Vei. And this is interesting. I wanted to point this one out. In the counters, we've got some PT-76s. And the PT-76s show up here, let's see, right here on the NVA setup. 5 PT-76s. That's the 5 on the sprue here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I had this down at the game store, the 65, and a gentleman was looking at the counters, and he said, without having looked at any scenarios, he picked up the counter sheet, and he was like, "Oh, I think you folks might have to go back and do some research. These PT-76s didn't show up in 65. They showed up later." And, that's when I came to the book, and I said, well, they're in this scenario here, February 6, 1968, Battle of Long Vei. And this guy said that, he'd go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So the scenarios don't cover only 1965. 65 is the starting point. So this goes out to 68. Let's see if I got some other dates on here. I think number 3 had a date. Oh, that was also, number 3 is also 1965. Let's see if number 8 has a specific year. So you theoretically could kind of place these scenarios throughout multiple years. So the game isn't set only in 1965, and then for accuracy, the scenario that includes the tanks does come a little bit later than 1968. So again, I think that will kind of also meet the criteria for historical accuracy. So yes, if you're looking for a game that portrays things that actually happened in the Vietnam War, I think that this would be a good starting point for you as a nice toolbox, if you will, sandbox-ish. So you can actually create maybe a lot of early Vietnam War stuff. Possibly as more expansions come out, you could do later in the war as well. But I think this is a good starting point for you to create your own scenarios and do quite a bit of fighting. But that's just what I wanted to cover, was talk a little bit about historical accuracy. So if you have any more questions about the game, go ahead, please put them in the comments. Then we can, answer questions that you might have. After this, I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start probably a playthrough. I know we've shown a little bit of the pieces for like the first scenario, but I want to actually go through, show card mechanics, get you an idea of what the play is like, and hopefully answer any questions that you have about play mechanics. The rule book is also up on the website in the Living Rules section. So if you want to go and take a peek at the rules yourself, and that might help answer some questions that you have. Because if you talk about historical realism, just a real quick point before we sign off, the rules do lend to that. You've got special abilities by certain units. So for example, with your rifle units, come on, focus, there we go. You'll see that they have charging capabilities. That's what the bayonet is. They have, there you go, focus, smoke, and they also have like M203 grenades. So different units have different capabilities based on what they are. So again, kind of going back to that historical accuracy, those effects will be played out in the rules as we play, and you can kind of see for yourself, is gameplay realistic? I believe it is as well. So yes, the simple answer is 65 historically accurate. Yes. How historically accurate is going to be up to each individual person, but I think out of those areas, the units included, unit capabilities, the scenarios, I believe that this is a good, accurate game. All right, take care, and we'll see you around on the gameplay. Thanks for watching. Bye.